Good morning. Welcome to Saturday Morning Coffee. My name is Lance McKinnon, and I'm here with my co-host Tiffany Linderman. Good morning, Tiffany. How are you this morning?
Hey, I'm good. How are you doing?
I am doing wonderful. As always, I have my Fifth Acres coffee from Good Brothers Cafe, downtown Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Be sure to check them out because they do have the best coffee around. So, um, I
So
had to get
good.
that one last sip in there because it's so good before I start talking. So, is it just you and I today, Tiffany, or do we have a guest?
Oh my gosh, we have a colorful guest here today, and I'm excited to hear the story. I know you are as well. We have Paul Lamar Hunter, known as the 19th child, and that is just a little tidbit about what we're going to hear today. Good morning.
Good morning, Paul. Welcome to Saturday Morning Coffee. How are you?
Hey, thank you for having me on and sharing a remarkable story that will change people's lives all around the world.
Yes, absolutely. I've had the privilege to sit down and talk with Lamar, Paul, and let me just tell you, this story is absolutely remarkable. I mean, just the fact of when we say 19, Paul, he's going to go into this a little bit more deeper, and he's going to make a difference. But I'm not going to steal his thunder because I have to admit that's a great background that she got going on there. It makes me want to change mine up a little bit.
Hey, thank you. Thank you very much.
But I'm not going to steal your thunder. So, Jay, just dive in. Just so tell us all about what you're doing. I know you're raining in Texas, so we got to get this in with all this weather.
Well, I am Paul Lamar Hunter, and I am the 19th child out of 21 children. Yes, my mother birthed 21 children by my dad. So you remember that song? Let's get it on.
Yes. No,
Oh, let's
let's
get it
get it
on.
on.
So, hey, my mother and my father, they got it on. So that's the reason why she birthed 21 children. Like I said, 17 of us living today, 63 grandchildren, and 87 great grandchildren. So we have a big family. I shouldn't say big, I might say extraordinary family.
That is huge because I come from my father's side of my grandparents had 16 uh,
Wow.
back in the day, in the country, in a small town, Mustang Nation, Penn Yan, New York, they had 16 children. So, but you're out, so always had to talk about one up. They went a couple up. That is
Yeah.
a that's amazing. And you said there's 17 still alive to this
Seven,
day.
17 children are still alive today. And I'm telling you, we still talk, we communicate. My siblings are all on social media, and we just have a great family relationship because we're older now and we're not teenagers. A lot of us, I should say, all of us are grandparents now. I am a father of four. I have two daughters, two sons, and I also have a 3-year-old granddaughter. So life has changed for me in a dramatic way as being a grandfather now.
You look younger than me, and your grandfather. That is absolutely. But yes, I absolutely understand that, and you're making a difference in the world with that. I mean, there's comes so much with being the 19th child out of 21. And I know there was some trials and tribulations as a kid that has molded you into the man that you are today. And your family members, can you want to share some of that?
I think what happened at a young age really devastated me. It was in 1976, and the house had caught on fire, and my brother Michael, he was able to get a majority of us out of the house. He could not get Thomas and myself out of the house, and I still remember this as a child. and the firemen came up, and I remember the fireman saying that we have to get out of here. We have to get out of this house. The house was just consumed with fire everywhere. And he grabbed me, grabbed my brother, and he took us downstairs. And we couldn't get out. We were basically trapped in this house. So my mother was so old fashioned, she would have two garbage cans, one filled with flour, one filled with sugar. So what they did was they poured out the content and placed my brother and myself in there, ran through the fire, and that's how I end up surviving. But my brother, he ended up dying a couple of days later. So that event really shook the core of the Hunter family. And so a year later, my father went back home to Jackson, Mississippi to visit his mother because he hasn't seen his mother in years. So he wanted to see his mom. And so he made it there, had dinner with her, had a great conversation with her. And my grandmother at that time tried to convince him to stay in the house, but he wanted to go out and see his family members and also his friends. And so as he was driving, somebody hit him head on, and my father died. So those two tragedies changed our lives tremendously, because now my mother had to become the commander in chief, and she had to become the breadwinner in the family, and a lot of my older siblings had to be the mama and also had to be the father as well. But one thing I can say is the community in the church, people, the men of God, the men of women, the evangelicals and good Christian people came to our aid when we didn't have no one to turn to. They were there to support the Hunter family. And I thank the Christian people, and I also thank the community in the city of Racine, Wisconsin.
Yeah, first of all, condolences on that tragedy. Those tragedies combined together. I mean, that's something that we talk about a lot, that can carry with you, forever. And one thing that we always say is that it's okay to go out and get help. It's okay, as one of our messages is like, everybody might look great on the outside, but we're all carrying that invisible backpack. But one of the things that we always say is like, hey, if you're carrying around mental illness or there's depression or anxiety, there is help out there for you, and I can only imagine how strong your mother was, um, to raise you guys, and how you had to all come together to be a unit and to be successful. Because you've been on many shows, and we'll talk about those later, but you're doing things in the community now that you're giving back because of what you've gone through in life.
Yeah, I had to give back because some of the things that I experienced as a child, I did not have my father with me when I was 8 and 9 and 10 years old. So what I'm able to do now is to become an activist in the community. I visit the Boys and Girls Club. I go there and I talk to young men and young women about the importance of education. I also coach basketball, and it's fun to get back to the community to coach young men and young women, and still talk to them to this day, and still an advocate of encourage them to do better in life. And that's what we need. We need a lot of role models out here in society to really push the agenda of education can set you free. And always remember to surround yourself with positive men and women. If it weren't for positive men and women, I wouldn't be sitting here today.
I commend you for that. And Tiffany's got a question, I can tell.
Well, I was just gonna say, I mean, as Lance said as well, I mean, my heart goes out to you, your family, and the incredible heartache that you guys experience throughout your life is just unimaginable, truly. But thinking about what you guys went through and the, like you said, the community that was around you and sort of like wrapped their arms around you and your mother. What is it that when you look back on that time, do you feel like made you who you are today? I'm sure there's so much that inspired you to do all those things that you're doing in your community to give back as well.
Well, I think looking back on it, especially with the two tragedies and the people from the church and the people from different organizations, it really helped me to have a giving spirit, to always build character, to always be honest, to always be faithful, to always have a heart of giving. You know, it taught me that once you are in a position, you know, to help other people, don't be cynical, just give. Just go out and just help people, because you never know when you are going to go back into that situation, that dark hole. And now that you are in a position to help others, just go out and do it, because somebody gave to your family. And that's the way I look at it. Somebody had helped the Hunter family. I remember a time during Christmas, we did not have a Christmas tree. We did not have any toys. But you know what? Unexpected people showed up at our doors, knocked on the door, and left gifts there and ran to their car and took off, because they didn't want the credit. They didn't want to say, they didn't want to hear us say, thank you, thank you, thank you. They knew what they had to do. So they did it. And that's the type of person that I am today. Because if I see somebody in need, I'm going to give it to them. I'm going to just give it to them.
That's beautiful. No,
That,
sorry, I know Lance, you're going to say something, but
I know
beautiful.
that is very touching, because you know I come from a very small town, Penn Yan, New York, and you know I think of my childhood, and it's so there's such a unique community, you know, and I was raised as if I have it, you have it, you know, and I just want to touch on, and it's not always food or a possession or anything like that. It's the most important thing you can give somebody is your time. You know, the time to talk to them, acknowledge them, and you know, and what you're doing in the community is absolutely amazing, because you hit the nail right on the head. Is what we're seeing so much today in this world, and what the young youth have gone through, what we've all been going through, but it's impacting them in a different aspect. You know, in the last several years, is that we're all looking for a new normal, you know, and so we all need to learn and need to lean on others to help guide. And with your mentorship, you know, of growing up this way is really impacting. You're planting seeds now that you may never see the harvest from, and that's absolutely awesome. And I credit you for that.
Thank you.
And so, with that being said, you've gone on and made your education, and you've gone on and written a book as well too.
Yes, yes, yes. Let me say this, that I broke a curse in the Hunter family. So I was working at Chrysler engine plant when they decided to close the plant and move to Mexico. And this was in 2010. So I decided, you know what, I'm going back to college. This company is going to pay for it, so I'm going to go back to college. But before I went back to college, I did some research on my family lineage. And what I discovered is that no one on my mom's side or my dad's side graduated from college. So I wanted to be the first to graduate from college. I wanted to be the first to lay the foundation. I wasn't laying the foundation because, oh, I want to do this. I want to do this. I wanted to lay the foundation for the next generation. So it wasn't about me. It was about the next generation. And so I did it. I became the first to graduate from college with a Bachelor of Science in Business Administration from Upper Iowa University in 2012. And then a couple months later, after graduating college, I wrote my book, No Love, No Charity, The Success of the 19th Child. The book is still selling today. The book has been adapted into a screenplay. Now we are dealing with production companies. They wrote the page pitch, and it is being pitched to producers that work for Sony, that work for Paramount. And so we are just excited because here you have a young man that walked into an institution and said, you know what, since I'm here, there's only one direction that I can go, and that's up. And so I am very optimistic that in 2022 that the movie deal will get done.
And that is awesome. And not only just a movie deal, I mean, you're slated to be on Kelly Clarkson talk show as well.
Yes.
I know that's coming up. And then Mr. Cannon's talk show as well too. And
Oh,
you
yes.
know, I know those we can't announce those dates yet, but everybody stay tuned. Paul will be out there telling his story, so we're very honored to have you on here today. But I mean, it's such an inspirational story, and I just want to keep going. I keep going back to that giving. You know, you do it and you say it with humility. Um, like you said, we need more people to understand. I think there was a piece that you said that once you rise from it, you need to reach back and grab somebody else and bring them along. And that is so important today, you know, and we need more of that. You know, we need to see more of that because, you know, what we see on television is a lot of negativity, you know, but iron sharpens iron, and that is the most important thing is giving back to that next generation because you know we're just all travelers passing through, and you know we got to leave that foundation. So
My
I mean,
Oh,
go
sorry,
ahead.
Lance. I was just going to say, my heart just hearing the story is so full, and absolutely agree with you, Lance, that, in this journey and the way I love how you said it. I can't even say it the way you did, but you wanted to do it for the next generation. You said it somehow, but there was just so much love and feeling behind it and passion. I mean, to think about the generations and the mentorship that you can provide to other people through what you've been through in your life and going to college and being able to share that with others so that they can be successful in their lives, whatever that success looks like for them, helping to foster that for them. So I'm curious, have you already been able to see that? I know, like Lance said, you don't get to necessarily see all the fruits of your labor or the seeds and the crops that grew from it, but have you had the opportunity to see some of those individuals around you that have been able to see success in their lives by your mentorship and your leadership in your life?
Most definitely. I see men and women, especially in my family, a lot of my nieces and nephews, friends and cousins and relatives that had an opportunity to read my book, No Love, No Charity, The Success of the 19th Child, went back to college, received their bachelor's degrees, received their master's degree, and I have a nephew that's working on his PhD. My job was to lay the foundation, and that's what I did. And once you lay the foundation, guess what? Everybody is going to go to that foundation and look at the blueprint and say, you know what? If Paul Lamar Hunter can do it and I can follow his blueprint, I can do it.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, that's breaking generational curses, you know. And so as a child growing up, you had that great community. I mean, it's easily to fall back and resist things, you know, and get in trouble. You know, because so I don't have a father figure around the house, but mom ran around with that wooden spoon. I know it. That would just hook a corn and catch you every now and again. I don't know how those spoons hook corners, but but they would hook a corner.
Hey, I can tell that happened in your family because my mom was very deadly when it comes to with those spoons. She would throw a spoon and seem like that spoon sometimes would go underneath the table and come up and hit you. Bow. You like, what? How did she do that?
Yeah, and then she and have it back in their hand. I mean, and just be stirring up dinner. Oh, I know, I know, but so that gave you again the inspiration to be like, I'm not gonna get in trouble. We're seeing, it's good to see educated men out here, and I say educated men of all colors
Yes.
giving back. I'm not saying one particular or not. I think we're all one in God's eyes. And if I have, you have, and it's really important to keep laying down that foundation. And I think it's true is that, when you're planting these seeds in these younger generations, and they're going to look at Paul Lamar Hunter and say, I was in a need, and he took the time. It came after a long day of work because you work your long days, and then you come in there and you're tired. You just want to go home, lay down, and be with your kids, your grandchildren, but you still give. You put in
Yes.
that extra. You put in that extra, and by you showing up every day, you know, the kid might not come up to you and say it physically, but they're watching you, and that's a very key thing because kids watch every movement that you're doing, whether it's a verbal or a nonverbal. They're always paying attention.
Yes, 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 yes. And as a basketball coach, I noticed that when I was coaching basketball, kids will always look up to me. And I was more like a father figure to a lot of them young men and girls that was on the basketball team because either the father was absent from the home or the mother was absent, from the home. But a lot of them kids, I can say today, they have a great testimony. Coming from the inner city, uh, being the odd one, and think that they don't have a chance, and talking to me and telling them that yes, you do have a chance. Yes, you do have potential. This is what you need to do. And just to see them graduate from high school and go on to college and become teachers and become nurses and become principals, and become entrepreneurs. It's great to see them, men and women out there that's doing something positive, and that your story and your testimony really changed their lives.
That's truly remarkable. And like you said, and we all have a testimony, but sometimes people will sit back and say, um, well, my testimony is not really going to help somebody, you know, but you don't know.
Yes.
You don't know, but I mean, you're already answering the question for somebody else. I mean, we all have, they say, yeah, we all go through a test to have a testimony, you know,
Yes.
and we're not the only ones. But so that's why it's really important that, Saturday morning coffee, we love sharing these amazing stories. They're just real life stories about people who have testimonies, how life wasn't, all rainbows and Skittles. It was a grind, and, we didn't really dig into the early days, but I can only imagine the long nights, the supper table, the trading of clothes,
Hmm.
just trying to work and education, that was a mental grind that you had to physically get through. Not just you, but everybody in your family, everybody. Because everybody has now moved on to adults and now have children. So it's a truly great testimony. And folks out there listening, if you have a story, please share it with somebody because as Paul has, um, it's truly amazing, and you don't know who you're going to move, and that's truly remarkable.
I just want to say, as you said, rainbows and Skittles. I think that his life, he's like everything he's learned. The color of your background's really speaking rainbows and Skittles for me. But as you said, Lance, I feel like the best stories are those stories that of the tough times, or those who made, I'm going to say, mistakes or went through challenges in their life, that you can share that, like you said, Paul, about that roadmap. It's showing that despite going through this, there's a way you can get through it and onto the other side. And I'm just going to loop back to another guest that we had on, that one of the key things to hold on to is hope in anything, right? You know, at the end of the day, when the times seem the darkest and there's no light or anything that you feel to look forward to, there's truly a light at the end of the tunnel, or something on the other side, and you just need to hang in there. And as Lance said, as you said, Paul, make sure that you know that there's somebody else that you can reach out to, because they will help hold your hand to get through to that other side. I know Lance is feeling it. I'm sure you have more to say there. But
Yeah, I know, because I was going to say that, how you're feeling in those 15 minutes is not how you're going to feel 15 minutes later. And hope is one of those things. And that's why we emphasize, like, if anybody's feeling with depression or anxiety, uh, having trouble at home, don't ever hesitate. It's okay to reach out to an adult, a teacher, a mentor, and get help. So, and like I said, there was people for you there that you probably can't name all the folks that were there for you. Like I can give you a list of names of people that I can, that helped me along the way. And if it was, I always say it took a village for me to get where I'm at today, and I'm truly thankful. And that's why I always mention Penn, New York. And I know that it took a village outside of your family members to get you where you are today. And go ahead, Paul.
And that's the reason why I always thank the community. I thank the churches. I thank organizations and good mentors, that came into the Hunter family lives and just welcome us and and also change our paradigm. So, my book, No Love, No Charity, The Success of the 19th Child, it is filled with faith, it is filled with love, it is filled with determination, but most importantly, it is filled with hope. So if you read this book, that's what you're going to get. You're going to get faith, you're going to get love, you're going to get determination, but you're also going to get hope.
Yeah, and as you're saying that too, I recall reading Tyler Perry's book a while back of how he came up through with his mom and everything else like that. There was so much love and hope. I just put you in the same sentence with Tyler Perry. I hope you know that. So,
Yes.
Mr. Perry, Medina, if you're listening, you need to get onto this story because it truly lines up parallel to what your story was in your book that I wrote that I read about. You can never give up hope, and you always got to keep grinding even when you don't want to. And not even just the fact of that, it's just now like you made it successful. Now you like that blueprint is forever changed. You know, you started with one layer, but now it's probably with generate it's just keep adding on to it,
Yes.
and it's truly remarkable how you've done that and how God has led you to do that. And unfortunately, there are times when success comes from tragedy, and the word does get out, and it's unfortunate that we all have to go through some sort of tragedy for a message to get out, and not always, but most of the time. It is what it is, and but what you're doing is absolutely remarkable, and I cannot thank you enough. I can't wait to see you on the Kelly Clarkson show, the Cannon show. Mr. Harvey, I know they'll be checking out the movie will be coming out, everything, and just following your career from here. And I want to come to a family reunion because because I know how it was with my family reunion at Red Jacket Park. You know, we took up the whole park. we took
Well,
up, we took up
well,
the whole park.
I tell you what, the last family reunion we had was probably about 2.5 years ago, and we always take over the park. It's like the U.S. It's like the U.S. Army, military, Navy.
All right. So I want to know, is like, so you got to be like, are you the favorite uncle, or there's a, because I always had my one favorite uncle, because everybody thought my dad was, that uncle, but he was my dad, so he always came down hard on me. But my uncle Gordon was the one that was like always busting up and cracking up and everything like that. But everybody else thought my father was the one that was cracking up. But so who's the favorite one in the family?
I say the favorite one is my brother Tim, and then come my brother Greg. When it comes to me, I talk to my nieces because I have a lot of nieces and nephews. You wouldn't believe this, that are way older than me. So,
Well, yeah, yeah, that would make sense.
and it's
So you're
strange.
getting knowledge. You're getting
Yeah,
knowledge from
yeah.
them.
And it's strange because they call me uncle, but they say, I don't have to listen to you because I'm older than you.
That would make sense too. So I can only imagine. Um, but I know that you're extremely busy. But I want to thank you for taking this time out of your schedule and being on Saturday morning coffee all the way from Texas. Well, here in Pennsylvania, I want you to stay warm. We got to get you hooked up with some Fifth Acres coffee from Good Brothers Cafe to keep you warm down there. And man, I cannot commend you enough. People go out, get this book, wait for the movie to come out. I check them out on uh, the Kelly Clarkson show and Nick Cannon show and what other shows are coming out. And there was a few other shows that you were already on as well too, related to Dr. Phil that he's directed as well that we didn't mention. Uh, People research Paul Lamar Hunter. Uh, you want to talk about a man of faith that has come from here to there and has laid the blueprint. This is the gentleman that you definitely want to follow.
Hey, thank you for having me on your show. I appreciate it. Um, the book to read is No Love, No Charity, The Success of the 19th Child. It is written by Paul Lamar Hunter. But before we go, I want to let the people know, many people thought that my story was going to end in defeat, but it ended in victory because I had the spirit of love, faith, and determination. Today, you may be down, but never give up. Fight, 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 and you will win, win, win. God bless, and good morning, and good night.
Love you, man.
Amen. Amen. Thank you.
You're welcome.